Tomb Raider is an action-adventure video game developed by Core Design and published by Eidos Interactive. It was originally released in 1996 for Sega Saturn, DOS, and PlayStation. Tomb Raider was also released into the mobile gaming market for the Nokia N-Gage in 2003. The game was released for the PlayStation Network in North America in August 2009, and in Europe in August 2010. Tomb Raider follows the exploits of Lara Croft, an English archaeologist in search of ancient treasures. The game was critically and commercially successful, selling around 7.5 million copies worldwide and earning a 91 aggregate score according to Metacritic, and is considered widely influential, serving as a template for many 3D action-adventure games that would follow. On 6 December 2010, a reboot of the game under the same title was announced by Crystal Dynamics. Plot: the story opens with a prologue in Los Alamos County, New Mexico, when a nuclear test causes a great explosion which exposes an ancient device buried beneath the desert surface. The device unlocks and reveals a person in suspended animation. The story then continues in the present day. At a hotel in present-day Calcutta, Lara Croft is approached by an American named Larson Conway, who works for the wealthy businesswoman Jacqueline Natler, owner of Natler Technologies. At Natler's request, Lara sets out on an expedition to recover a mysterious artifact called the Scion from the lost tomb of Qualapec, in the mountains of Peru. After successfully retrieving the object, she is attacked by Larson, who attempts to claim it. She beats him, then questions him, learning that the artifact she has is only a fragment and that a man named Pierre Dupont has been hired by Natler to collect the rest. Lara breaks into Natler Technologies to find out Pierre's whereabouts. She discovers a medieval monk's journal, which reveals the depths of an ancient monastery of St. Francis in Greece to house the tomb of Teotihuacan, a ruler of Atlantis, along with a second piece of the Scion. Traveling to the monastery, Lara descends through an expansive underground complex, pursued and attacked throughout by Pierre Dupont. At the tomb of Teotihuacan, Lara recovers the second piece of the Scion and finally kills Pierre. An inscription inside the tomb states that Teotihuacan was one of the two just rulers of Atlantis. When Lara joins the two pieces of the Scion, she receives a vision of the three Atlantean rulers and their respective pieces of the Scion. One of them utilizes it to create a mutant breed, but the other two confront her and take her piece of the Scion. Then Atlantis is struck by a fireball from the skies, and the three pieces of the Scion become scattered as the civilization is destroyed. One of them goes to Egypt, Lara's next destination. Lara travels to the city of Khamun, a temple complex in Egypt that houses the final fragment. Here she battles the fierce mutants seen in her vision, and is once again confronted by Larson, this time in a battle to the death. She then takes the final piece of the Scion from the underground sanctuary. Upon leaving the tomb, she is ambushed by Natler and her henchmen, who steal the three artifacts and nearly kill her. Having escaped, Lara stows away on their boat, which takes her to a remote island where mining operations of Natler Technologies have partially exposed the Great Pyramid of Atlantis. After making her way through the mines, dispatching Natler's goons and the mutant-infested interior of Atlantis, Lara reaches the heart of the pyramid chamber, where the complete Scion has been fused together as a source of power. Touching it, Lara receives another vision, where Natler is revealed as the previously seen third ruler of Atlantis. She betrays her co-rulers by abusing the power of the Scion for genetic experimentation, and as punishment is locked in a stasis cell by Teotihuacan and Qualapec, her resting place until the prologue of the game. Natler enters the chamber and confronts Lara. Having reclaimed the artifacts, she attempts to restore her former power with an army of mutants. Lara attempts to shoot the Cyan. Netla tackles her through the observation window. Netla falls into a crevasse, but Lara manages to land on the breeding platform, confronting Netla's largest mutant abomination. After defeating the monstrosity, she destroys the Cyan and attempts to escape the collapsing pyramid. As she makes her way out, she meets Netla a final time, now mutated and winged. After beating her, Lara flees the island just as the place is destroyed. Gameplay overview. In Tomb Raider, the player controls the archaeologist Lara Croft, in search for the 3 mysterious Cyan artifacts across the world. The game is presented in third-person perspective. Lara is always visible, and the camera follows the action from behind or over her shoulder. The world she inhabits is fully drawn in 3 dimensions and characterized by its cubic nature. Ledges, walls and ceilings mostly sit at 90 degrees to each other, but sometimes feature sloping planes. The object of Tomb Raider is to guide Lara through a series of tombs and other locations in search of treasures and artifacts. On the way, she must kill dangerous animals and other creatures, while collecting objects and solving puzzles to gain access to an ultimate prize, usually a powerful artifact. Gunplay is restricted to the killing of various animals that appear throughout each stage, although occasionally Lara may be faced with a human opponent. Instead, the emphasis lies on solving puzzles and performing trick jumps to complete each level. As such, Tomb Raider in essence harkens back to the classical form of platform-style gameplay. Features. Movement in the game is varied and allows for complex interactions with the environment. Besides walking, running, and jumping, Lara can perform side steps, hang on ledges, a rollover dive, and swim through water. In a free environment, Lara has 2 basic stances, one with weapons drawn and one with her hands free. By default, she carries 2 pistols with infinite ammo. Additional weapons include the shotgun, dual magnums and dual Uzis. At a certain point in the story, Lara will be stripped of all her weapons, leaving the player defenseless and forced to recover her pistols, a development which later became a staple of the series. Numerous enemies as well as a variety of lethal traps can bring about Lara's death in Tomb Raider, the most important threat of which is falling to death, as the game adopts a platform-style approach of progress. Well-timed jumps must often bring Lara safely to the other side of a ledge or she will plummet to the ground below. Other means by which the game will prematurely end include death by burning, drowning, electrocution, becoming impaled on spikes, killed by human enemies, or creatures, and even being turned into gold by the hand of Midas. A general action button is used to perform a wide range of movements in Tomb Raider, such as picking up items, pulling switches, firing guns, pushing or pulling blocks, and grabbing onto ledges. Regular items to pick up include ammo, and small and large medipacks. Game-specific items are keys and artifacts required to complete a stage. Any item that is collected is held onto in Lara's inventory until it is used. The puzzles that the player encounters across each level vary. Pulling specific combinations of levers, a course of timed jumps, avoiding a certain trap or collecting several keystones. Throughout each stage, 1 or more secrets may be located. Discovering these secrets is optional, and when the player has found one of Tune plays, the locations of these secrets vary in difficulty to reach. Some are hidden along the roadside in bushes, others require the completion of a hidden course or optional puzzle to be found. The player is usually rewarded with extra items. In the Sega Saturn and PlayStation versions of Tomb Raider, saving the game is restricted to fixed save points within each level, marked by a floating blue crystal or by completing the level. When Lara touches one of these, the option to save is made available. The scarcity of these points, however, means that if the player dies, large portions of each level must be replayed. Following criticism on this system, Core implemented a save anywhere at any time feature in Tomb Raider 2. The DOS version of the game allows the player to save at any time. A stage is finished when a certain doorway is reached, an artifact is recovered, or a boss is destroyed. Development. The title was crafted by core design of Derby, England, who took 18 months to develop it. The team consisted of 6 people, among them Toby Gard, who was credited with the creation of Lara Croft. The character went through several changes before core settled on the version she became famous for. In its earliest conception, Lara Croft was a male placeholder for an as-yet undefined character, but as core decided that puzzles and stealth should be more important to the game than action, they found that these requirements better suited a female character than a classic male action hero. Lara Croft was originally born under the name of Laura Cruz. As her backstory began to take shape and it was decided that she would become more English and that it would be a major part of who the character was, her first and last names were changed to reflect this. According to Toby Gard, the idea to make her more akin to a female Indiana Jones was not present from the beginning. In fact, in early concepts, Lara originally had a cold-blooded militaristic-type personality. But Gard and the team decided to create and play up the proper English lady aspect of her character to establish that there was more to Lara's personality in life than just her immediate actions during Tomb Raider's gameplay. During some interviews, Toby Gard has also claimed that he changed the character from male to female because he decided that if he had to stare at the character's backside for hours on end while designing and playtesting the game, it might as well be an attractive female backside, although this is assumed to be a joke on the part of Gard, poking fun at the attention Lara was receiving for her sex appeal and had little if any actual sway into the final decision to make Lara a woman. The front of the Derby Studios building where core design worked on the game was later used as the front of Croft Manor. It is core's contention that the company was struggling somewhat with 32-bit development at that time. The first glints of the game were seen on Sega Saturn development kits. However, while the series would see 4 more installments on the original PlayStation alone, no additional Tomb Raider games were ever released for the Saturn following the original. Additional Sega ports were released on Dreamcast. The music for Tomb Raider was composed by Nathan McCree. Unlike most other games of the time, there was not a musical track playing constantly throughout the game. Instead, limited musical cues would play only during specially selected moments to produce a dramatic effect, such as enhancing tension during an action sequence or accompanying the discovery of a hidden secret. For the majority of the game, the only audio heard is action-based effects, atmospheric sounds, and Lara's own grunts and sighs, all of which were enhanced because they did not have to compete with music. The game uses a solo oboe melody for the main theme. Variations of this main theme have been used throughout all of the Tomb Raider games. The soundtrack of Anniversary was composed by Charles Brunfolman, but loosely based on the original. The symphonic sounds of the earlier games were created using Roland Corporation's orchestral expansion board for their JV series keyboards. Alternate versions, special editions and remakes. PlayStation Greatest Hits versions. The Greatest Hits edition of the PlayStation version had added demos and videos of other Eidos games. Although the content changed several times over the course of additional repressings of the game, the first version contained demos for Tomb Raider 2 and either one of Fighting Force or Ninja, Shadow of Darkness. The next print contained Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Tomb Raider 3, and GEX3. Deep Cover Gecko playable demos with videos of Fear Effect and Fighting Force 2. A third edition included no playable demos, but rather a trailer for the Chicken Run video game and a viewable preview of the upcoming PlayStation 2 launch title Time Splitters, Tomb Raider, Unfinished Business and Tomb Raider Gold in 1998. Shortly after the release of Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider was re-released on the PC. This release, titled Tomb Raider Gold: The Shadow of the Cat in North America, and Tomb Raider: Unfinished Business Elsewhere, featured the regular game as well as 2 new expert chapters in 4 levels, 2 levels each. The levels for Tomb Raider Gold were created in the San Francisco office of Eidos by Phil Campbell, Rebecca Shearer, and Gary LaRochelle. The first chapter of the game takes place in Egypt, and occurs several months after the events of Tomb Raider. The story sees Lara returning to the city of Khamun to investigate a mysterious statue of the Egyptian goddess Bast. This leads to her discovery of an entirely new temple dedicated to the cat deity, which includes a giant gold statue several stories high. The second chapter takes place before those of the first chapter, quite literally straight after the events of Tomb Raider. This chapter starts with Lara sliding down the same slope as in Tomb Raider's final level, and finishes with her destroying the last remnants of the Atlantean race. Shadow of the Cat features 2 levels, Return to Egypt, and Temple of the Cat. Unfinished Business features 2 other levels, called Atlantean Stronghold and The Hive. Tomb Raider: Anniversary. The first hint about her remake of the original Tomb Raider was a financial release from Psy Entertainment that revealed a game, Tomb Raider: 10th Anniversary Edition for PSP, which was supposed to be released in summer 2006. Another hint appeared as a rumor on the 30th of May 2006. Eidos are planning on celebrating Lara's 10th birthday by releasing a remake of her original adventure. A video game trailer showing footage of a new Tomb Raider game was distributed on the internet on the 8th of June 2006. The titles and logos of the trailer claimed that the title was Lara Croft Tomb Raider: 10th Anniversary Edition, a PSP game by Core Design. The trailer featured Lara Croft in familiar yet remodeled environments from the original Tomb Raider. On the 15th of June 2006, Core Design released an official statement claiming that the trailer was an internal presentation of a game that was being developed by Core Design, until very recently, and had been completely cancelled by Psy. However, on the 16th of June, Eidos Interactive officially announced a 10th anniversary edition of Tomb Raider, being developed by Crystal Dynamics instead of Core Design. On the 30th of October 2006, Eidos announced that this new installment in the series would be named Tomb Raider: Anniversary. The game is a retelling of the first Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider: Anniversary was released for PlayStation Portable, PlayStation 2, Wii, and Windows platforms. The PlayStation 2 and PC versions were released on the 1st of June 2007 in Europe, and in the US, on the 5th of June 2007. The PSP version was released in June, the Xbox 360 version was released in October, and the Wii version was released the 14th of November. The Xbox 360 version of the video game was made available for download from the Xbox Live Marketplace in November 2007, with the Tomb Raider Legend disc being required to use it. However, the game was also released later on disc to retailers, just like all of the other versions. A mobile version of Tomb Raider: Anniversary was developed by Finblade. Tomb Raider: Anniversary was released and remastered in HD for the PlayStation 3, which came in a package alongside Legend and Underworld. 2013 reboot. On the 5th of March 2013, Square Enix released Tomb Raider: billed as a reboot of the franchise. In Tomb Raider, the player is confronted with a much younger Lara Croft who is shipwrecked and finds herself stranded on a mysterious island rife with danger, both natural and human. In contrast to the earlier games, Croft is portrayed as vulnerable, acting out of necessity, desperation and sheer survival rather than for a greater cause or personal gain. Reception: Tomb Raider remains the most critically acclaimed game in the long-running franchise, and has sold around 7.5 million copies worldwide, becoming a bestseller. Upon its release in 1996, the game was widely praised by gaming magazines for its revolutionary graphics, inventive gameplay, and involving storyline. Game Informer ranked it the 86th best game ever made in 2001. They praised it for Lara's appeal to gamers and non-gamers alike. The level of sophistication Tomb Raider reached by combining state-of-the-art graphics, an atmospheric soundtrack, and a cinematic approach to gameplay was at the time unprecedented. The resulting sales were consequential, topping the British charts a record 3 times, and contributing much to the success of the PlayStation. In the previous year, Eidos Interactive had recorded a nearly $2.6 million in pre-tax loss. The success of the game turned this loss into a $14.5 million profit in only a year. As one of the top-selling games of the PlayStation console, it was one of the first to be released on PlayStation's Platinum series, and its success made Tomb Raider 2 the most anticipated game of 1997. It also won a multitude of Game of the Year awards from leading industry publications. In 1998, Tomb Raider won the Origins Award for Best Action Computer Game of 1997. The Lara Croft character was prominently featured in the popular media outside the realm of video gaming. For instance, on the cover of cutting-edge pop culture magazine The Face in June 1997. In the final issue of the official UK PlayStation magazine, the game was chosen as the 4th best game of all time. Tomb Raider, along with its successor, Tomb Raider 2, are the 2 best-selling games in the franchise. Nevertheless, Tomb Raider received some criticism for minor camera and object glitches, as well as its save system. Additionally, some fans complained about the lack of action in the game, in favor of puzzle solving. Ironically, Tomb Raider 2 would be criticized for its overabundance of violence, especially against human opponents.